Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to Uncensored. I was about to say Makola and Housen. I was about to say Makola and Freddie, but no, it's Makola and Rory. I've brought my good old mate along, Rory, for Uncensored. Rory, welcome to the show.
Mate, I'm honoured to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us, man. I was thinking, who can I get on Uncensored this week? Obviously, it's always been a United fan, but I thought it doesn't have to be a United fan this week. I could bring in one of my good mates. We can have a little chat. Obviously, it was made even better by the results yesterday, for me anyway. But it's just good to be able to have you on here and we can chat about whatever we want. So basically, I've been told we have to talk about the Champions League. But because it's uncensored, if the conversation goes wherever we want it to go, that's fine. We can just carry on talking about that.
So
And the
nice
people
freedom
know.
there.
Yeah, because we do videos, that are titled like why Manchester United are the greatest team in the world or the most rubbish team in the world. And then we end up talking about like our days in school or like old stuff. So we made a show where we're allowed to do that. Do you get me?
Yeah.
And people can't complain.
Exciting news, our friends over at Manscaped have just launched their 4th generation performance package, and that includes the Lawnmower 4.0. 4.0? That's right, the Lawnmower 4.0, which includes a 7,000 RPM motor to take care of your spuds when you need it most. Make sure you join 2 million men who trust Manscaped, and you can do that by going to manscaped.com and getting 20% off and free shipping using the code Paddock20. We've all had it where you're trying to trim downstairs, you've got a big date coming up, it's your Valentine's, it's the anniversary, you need to look spick and span down there. But what happens? You end up using your mum's hair scissors, you end up trying to do something weird, getting a blowtorch out of the shed, using an axe that your dad uses to chop wood for the fire. None of that's going to work. You're going to cut yourself, you're going to nick yourself. We've all been there, using the scissors to try and go around your balls like some sort of weird stencil. It's not going to work. You're going to nick them, and you're going to really regret ever trying to make it a DIY job. That's where Manscaped comes in. Look at this. This, quite simply put, is the greatest device in trimming your pubes that has ever existed. It's a Lawnmower 4.0. It's got a 7,000 RPM motor, and the best thing about it is the anti-nick technology. You can see that there. Anti-nick technology, right? What that means is that you're not going to catch your spuds when you're trying to clean up in your trousers. Make sure you check out Manscaped. Again, it's not just this. They've got this, the Crop Reviver. This is what you put on. You're going straight out after work. It's in your work bag. Let me just nip to the toilet. Let me just freshen up. You got this bad boy, the Crop Preserver, straight out of the shower, pop it on. Deodorant for under the arms, Crop Preserver for under the garms. You know what I mean? You know it is. And one of the best things about the Lawnmower 4.0 is that it's waterproof. So you can do it in the shower, you can do it over the sink, you can do it at a public pool if you really want to. You might get kicked out, but you can do it there. That's the thing. Shave your pubes out in the rain if you want to. If that's what your thing is, you've got some weird fetish where you get in your truck, you drive out to a hillside, get in the flatbed, wait for it to rain, trim your pubes. This thing isn't going to electrocute you, and you're fine to do that because that's your property. Or just do it in the shower like I do. It's fantastic, easy clear up, and you don't have to worry about it breaking. And not just does that mean, yes, I can do it in the shower. It also means it's easy to clean because you get in there. Sometimes you get your little brush, trying to do it, trying to blow on it, get your little pubes out. No one wants that. Run it under the tap. It's clean, perfect to be stored away. So, you know what, your mum don't find it or your missus don't find it. Or she might use it, to be honest. So make sure you check out manscaped.com. Again, use the code Paddock20 at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Thank you once again to Manscaped for sponsoring the podcast. Back to the show, lads.
But let's start at the Champions League. How are you feeling after all that?
Well, for Chelsea, obviously, it was a really bad night, and it's compounded by the fact that we had a really bad day against City. So it's kind of 2 in a row, and you know how these things have a tendency to manifest. Once you get 2, the best teams, good teams, don't lose 3 in a row. So Chelsea now going into the game against Southampton, all of a sudden that becomes a must-win, all eyes on it, a potential banana skin. So I'm a little bit worried. I'm not worried for our progression in Europe, but I'm a little bit worried about the way that we're playing at the moment. But I mean, that's completely different to the way that you're getting on, isn't it? What an amazing night for you. That's for me. I've seen some of the reaction on social media, and I just don't get it, Ad. I just don't get it. I just don't understand how you aren't over the moon with that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally was on cloud nine walking out of Old Trafford. I've been to games against Villarreal on a number of occasions, and it's always been 0-0 at Old Trafford. So even the fact that there was a couple of goals was just a bonus. But when you win, and you win in the last minute, nothing gets better. And now, during the game, and in the minutes that were preceded that winning goal, all sorts of thoughts were running through my mind. The wave of negativity that's going to come after this result, my disappointment at some of the performances, all that kind of thing. But then when you get the goal and you have those celebrations and you Viva Ronaldo in like it's 2008, you have to be happy. If you're not happy and you're a Man United fan after that, I genuinely don't get it. Like, we could save all the analysing and all that for later on. Immediately walking out of there, I was bouncing out. It was amazing. Champions League nights back at Old Trafford, it's what you want.
I agree.
And it was an important win.
Well, it was a must win. That's the thing. It was a must win because of the dodgy result that you had at Young Boys. It became a must win game, and you won it. And you won it in the most glorious way. Like, I sometimes think that I approach football in a different way to a lot of people. Certainly, a lot of people on social media. But the way that you won that game, for me, that's the best possible way. You've won a game. You've stolen a game in the last minute with one of your best players ever scoring a really good goal. Like, that's not far off a spectacular goal, by the way. It wasn't easy. I mean, there was an element of fortune. There was an element of desperation, but there was also an element of brilliance. And the way that he pinged it in, the second that hit the back of the net, I was so envious of you, directly you, because you're my mate who I know's at the game. I know that you're there in the Stretford end. And the second that was struck by Cristiano Ronaldo, that's the buzz. And for me, that's what football's about. We're chasing the buzz. And a last-minute winner in Europe, how's anyone got the audacity to complain about that?
Yeah, it's remarkable. And you've summed it up really well. Like, just being in the Stretford end, that's what those moments are all about. Do you know what I mean? And like, it don't get better. But obviously, it was a great performance, and that's true as well. But when Ronaldo scores in the last minute, that's what moments are made of. And we really did need that win, because if you don't win that, you're bottom of the group. You know, you've got Atalanta back to back. You got Villarreal away to come. It looks like they've got your number because you can't beat them 6 games on a spin. And I would have found it. Ronaldo said after the game, if we didn't win here, it's looking difficult to go through. And I kind of thought, even with 12 points to play for, is right, because the position we would have found ourselves in would have been disastrous. So I think it relief, joy. Ronaldo's back at home in front of the floodlights. Like, it was a mixture of everything. And I had this horrible fear that we were going to take Ronaldo into the Europa League. Could you imagine that? Oh.
Yeah, I know
that'd be
what you
a crime.
And I do know what you mean. And look, the progression in these competitions is often done on the smallest of margins. And the fact that, like, I think if you were a Villarreal fan last night, you would have been disappointed with a draw, let alone a defeat. You would have been disappointed with a draw.
They had so many chances, you know. Did you watch the full game?
Yeah. I saw the highlights, but I saw all the chances.
Yeah. So the highlights would, in the first half, would have been predominantly their chances. I think Ronaldo had a headed chance, but apart from that, it was basically De Gea saving our bacon every single time. And let's talk about De Gea, because he has shown some balls. Like, it was Villarreal last season where it looked like the writing was on the wall for him. Yeah. Europa League final, he misses the penalty. I don't blame him for missing a penalty as a goalkeeper. I don't expect my goalkeeper to score penalties, but he hadn't saved one. Like, if you're taking that many penalties against you, I expect one to be saved when you're David De Gea. After all the talk about Dean Henderson, after everything that had preceded it, it looked like he was done at United. And I was one of very few that was like, please just stick with him, because there's still a goalkeeper in there. And I thought getting a centre-back in front of him that he can trust will help him, give him confidence. And to be honest, maybe I didn't expect this. I didn't expect him to be this good straight away. I expected him to reclaim his spot eventually, but
I probably didn't expect him to be this good. I probably didn't expect him to be this good, but I also would agree with you. I mean, you made the point valiantly and very articulately, consistently, that people were getting carried away with Henderson. Like, David De Gea was one of the best goalkeepers in the world, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world in very recent memory. So don't disregard him. Don't disregard him for somebody who's had a good year at Sheffield United. That's not being disrespectful to Henderson, but there are levels, and the level between the two is very different. But what happened yesterday is why the reason Manchester United won the game is because you have a world-class player at one end of the pitch and you have a world-class player at the other end of the pitch, and they combined to win you the game. David De Gea kept you in it. Cristiano Ronaldo won it for you. And that is why, irrespective of form, irrespective of the debate about the manager, irrespective of Fred and McTominay, this is why Manchester United could. I don't think they will, but this is why Manchester United could win some significant silverware this year.
Yeah, you mentioned McTominay there, and look, there were, I thought we got it. Weirdly enough, I thought
Oli
got...
didn't he? He went for McPob rather than McFred.
No, but I thought McTominay was... We played a 4-3-3 yesterday. I've been crying out for a 4-3-3, but it showed you why we don't play it, because McTominay isn't good enough on his own as that holding midfielder. He wasn't showing for the ball. He wasn't asking for it. He wasn't... you want someone to get in there, pass me the ball, and then just pass it on. Pass me the ball, pass it on. Receive it again, spread the ball. Just keep playing it. And Etienne Capoue at the other end, where was he recently? Watford or something like that?
Like, he was at Tottenham, I think, a long time ago.
Tottenham and Watford, he was there recently. He's 33 years old. All right, he's playing for Villarreal. He's resurrected his career somewhat. But, he was bossing it in there, and I just thought, McTominay looked lost in there. So I understand why he doesn't play the 4-3-3 more often. But then I thought his substitutes initially were wrong. I got ridiculed in my review for saying I thought his substitutes were wrong and then praising his substitutes. But both things could be true, because there was 2 waves of substitutes. I think the first one came around 60th minute, and he kept McTominay on the pitch, and he brought Matic on, and he brought Pogba off. And I was thinking, what? How have we taken Pogba off and left McTominay on the pitch who's having no influence? And then, obviously, he got it right in the 89th minute, but I felt that Lingard substitution maybe should have come early. And Fred, for as much as I ridicule this guy, and as bad as I think he is at times, he never shies away. And unfortunately, yesterday, I thought McTominay shied away. And look, I can't blame him. He's not that player. He's a good option in central midfield, box to box, squad player. He's not a Champions League number 6 sitting in there and bossing it, and that's what we were crying out for. But I thought Oli initially got it wrong, and then he got it right towards the end. So you have to give him credit for that. But also, I agree.
I've actually been over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure at Manchester United. I've actually been largely in favour. I've been generally, in terms of the majority of the time he's been there, very complimentary. However, the line in the sand came for me at Villarreal. Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, bigger than a football club, an institution. They don't lose to Villarreal. And the events that happened in Gdansk were the moments where I said, this isn't right. And since then, I have been on his case. And I intend to be, every time he displays and gives me an opportunity to be. However, it's a meritocracy. When he gets it right, it's important that we acknowledge that. And whether you think the decisions made throughout, perhaps some of them were slightly questionable, perhaps some of them were slightly wrong, mate, you've won a game in the most exhilarating of circumstances. You are now in pole position to qualify. You will qualify. I believe that it's the kind of result that will galvanise the team. You'll use it as a springboard to continue. And those are the kind of results. In a way, it's actually better to win the way that you did. In terms of what it means for Manchester United. Manchester United, the club that I grew up with, were a club that would never say die. They would fight until the very last kick of the game, and generally speaking, they would pull it out the bag. It gives the team a belief. It gives the team a genuine belief that they're never beaten. So the fact that you won in those circumstances, with Ronaldo scoring, I think it's perfect. I understand that people who like heat maps and people who like passing stats and whatever, they won't like it. They'll be livid, in fact. In fact, they'll probably be asking for the manager's head now, which is just
I've seen a few nonsense tweets like, how did it feel like we lost and that? And I'm like, what? Like,
mate.
What?
Mate,
you weren't to give Viva Ronaldo. What are you doing?
Whether you were in the Stretford end or whether you were in a Man United supporters group in Bali, you must have gone potty when that goal went in.
Yeah.
And
Trust
and
me, they did.
that is the only thing that really matters, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and look, the biggest compliment I can pay to Solskjaer and the biggest statement I can make regarding Manchester United in Europe, I think you qualify now, and I didn't necessarily think you would have done before the game. So that's how big a result it is.
It was a worrying time. And look, I fully hear that Ollie is, and like you said, people are on his case, and maybe rightly so, because a club as such as United shouldn't be struggling to qualify from their Champions League group. You know, shouldn't be getting knocked out of the cups early and those things. You know, you shouldn't be losing to Villa at home. But at the same time, like, he's got the opportunity now to with this team to prove something. And look, he's not gonna win a trophy in September, but the next couple of months are massive for us. So I don't quite feel we've qualified yet. I still think this doubleheader's big. The Atalanta are probably the strongest team in the group. No disrespect to Villarreal and Young Boys, but I don't think we're qualified yet. But I do always feel like this. We need to use it as a springboard. We need to beat Everton because we've got some big fixtures after that. And a bad run. I was dreading the negativity yesterday. I hate it, man. I hate it. I just want to be. I want to be good vibes only. Anyway, let's move on from that. Look, I don't want to get too serious on it because I genuinely don't think it's that big of a deal. It was 2 big games. Chelsea, though, 1 shot on target in 2 matches. Romelu Lukaku misfiring in those games. Any worries?
Yeah, I think there are reasons to be concerned. We're not quite on the scale. You know, when things start going wrong, there's a sliding scale, isn't it? And game by game, you progress up it. I'd say I'm currently aware. I'm moving into concerned. But I think 1 win and everything's back to normal. You know, if we beat Southampton at home, which I expect us to, I think everything is sweet again. The problem at the moment is that there's no penetration, there's no cut and thrust. We are a team built up of beautiful footballers. Like, you know, the way Jorginho can grace a game and the way that Mateo Kovacic beautifully dances around a football pitch. It's great. But I like a cut and thrust of a midfielder. I like a Lampard, I like a Ballack, I like a Michael Essien. You know somebody that just drives, picks a team up by the scruff of the neck. Yeah. And at the moment we haven't got that. And do you know what's happened in these past 2 games? The 2 games, City and Juve, 2 top teams, obviously. But what's happened in those games? Anyone that doubted Mason Mount's ability, anyone that doubted the prowess and the importance of Mason Mount, is suddenly realising, wow, Chelsea are a completely different team without him. The way that we played against City, we were so lacklustre, weren't we? We were so pedestrian. That doesn't happen with Mason Mount in the team, pressing from the front. So I'm slightly aware. I feel like maybe Tuchel has got it wrong a little bit for the first time, really, on back-to-back games. It hasn't looked good. We're not creating at all. Lukaku, it's difficult with the striker. Where do you sit on this one? Because if the striker isn't scoring goals, do you blame? I'm inclined to blame the striker. But if he literally isn't getting any service, is it the striker's fault? It's hard, isn't it? I don't know.
It's a hard one because sometimes I think some strikers, Edinson Cavani being one, like I remember a run yesterday, I keep saying yesterday, against Villarreal where the ball was rolling out for a goal kick or with the defender just having it near the corner flag and he chased him down all the way, kept it in from going out for a goal kick and then managed to rescue it. And it's like, so there's some strikers that can turn a bad ball into a good pass by just being on it. Do you know what I mean? Cristiano Ronaldo with those spills, like being available, having your run, timing your run, that's a craft, that's a genius. But then at the same time, there's some strikers that can do everything right in a game, be in the right positions, and if the service isn't coming, they're not getting it. And Cristiano Ronaldo was that against Villarreal up until the 95th minute. Yeah. Like, he literally was that. We didn't create for him. We didn't create for him against Aston Villa. So I think you have to have a team that are creating opportunities. But there are times when a striker has to do himself a favour and, you know, chase down those loose balls and try and cause something to happen, because a good striker can make sure a defender isn't taking that extra touch on the ball. So that he's rushing his next pass. So then, you know, so a good striker can maybe get something out of a game, but ultimately he needs service.
I agree. And do you know what? At first, I was kind of posing the question, thinking I didn't agree, but you're totally right. A striker has a responsibility to create as well as finish, not simply wait for someone else to create, put one on a plate for him. But yeah, Lukaku hasn't looked good. I think what's happened is in the two big games, in the two games that he's played against City and Juve. Firstly, Chelsea haven't played well, so it's hard for him. But also, the centre halves have sewed him up. So I'm sure he's aware of that.
He had chances against Juve. I only watched the highlights, but he spun. I think Bonucci once. He spun round
Bonucci once. He's kind of sliced it, and it ultimately went wide. But look, if
there was a header as well.
There
was a header from a Callum Hudson-Odoi cross that I thought he should have done better with as well.
Hudson-Odoi came on and looked good actually. Do you know we made 5 subs? Do you know Ross Barkley came on for Chelsea? I totally forgot, mate. I honestly, I was watching
Loftus-Cheek as well, right?
Yeah, Loftus-Cheek's been featuring a little bit actually. Loftus-Cheek came on against Villa and did well. But honestly, when Ross Barkley was warming up, I was like, who the hell is that? Because it was a wide shot, and yeah, he came on. I didn't anticipate that at all. But we made 5 substitutions to try and change the game. I mean, Tuchel tried everything, but aside from Hudson-Odoi, nobody really made a difference.
His first sticky spell in it. Tommy Ticks.
Yeah, it's the first one, and also, I mean, you say sticky. It's sticky because we haven't won, but we've played Man City and Juve. There's no shame.
It's a poor Juve side though.
It's never a poor. I don't agree. Really, I know what you mean. It's the first time they haven't been champions
comparatively to the last.
Yes, first time they haven't been champions for 9 years. First time they haven't been able to call themselves champions, and that obviously gets to them because I heard Allegri talking about a relegation battle and all that. So I know that he's bothered. But you say it's a poor team, and I do know what you mean. But I don't ever see. Look, you know when I was covering the Liverpool AC Milan game the other day, AC Milan are the top 4s in Europe, but I don't view them like that. I don't view it. I don't view
top 2 minimum.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And I feel a bit like that with Juve. It's all very well to say, they're not the team they were, and that's probably true. But they're still a team with excellent players.
It was a bit tongue-in-cheek. You know what? I realise how stupid. Even if you play, it's like back in the day when you used to play Liverpool, even though they were rubbish. It's like you play Liverpool. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
Like they Juventus in the Champions League are a different prospect to Juventus.
Yeah, but I even feel
like
that
home against Bari in Serie A. Do you know what I mean? Like they're a different prospect.
Mate, do you know what? If Hellas Verona finished above Juve 1 year, and you could play one or the other in the Champions League, you're not picking Juve, are you? Even if Hellas Verona are better, you're just not. So I'm always aware of the brilliance of a side like Juve, and when then you're talking about players like Locatelli and Chiesa and De Ligt and Cuadrado.
Oh, how quick is Chiesa? He's rapid, deceptively quick, isn't it? Like because he looks like an old man. Like he looks.
No, he's rapid.
God.
Yeah, he's so swift. There was a moment, I think Kovacic had a bit of a mare. Kovacic played a short pass to Christensen, but it was still Christensen favourite.
Yeah.
Chiesa just rapid, too quick.
It's when he knocked it wide, wasn't it? And he maybe should have squared it.
Yeah, exactly.
He maybe should have squared it.
Do you know who else is a player? Do you know that Adrien Rabiot? You know the French lad?
Yeah. He nearly pinged one in the top corner as well.
Yeah. Good player.
What that reminded me of actually was because they scored in 10 seconds in the second half. It reminded me of Del Piero scoring inside 26 seconds at Old Trafford.
Was that the year? Was that the
3-2. No. They beat us. Sorry, we beat them 3-2. I think that's 95, 96. I was at the
95, 96. Right.
Or 96, 96.
Because obviously, the one when a Man United fan brings up Juventus, I just always assume they're going to be talking about the game, the Roy Keane game.
It was 97.
97.
Del Piero scored after 26 seconds, and then Sheringham scores. Giggs scored, and Zidane scored.
Can you remember the fastest goal you've ever seen?
That's probably it.
Is it? Do you know what my one was? I saw Louis Saha score against us in the FA Cup final for it must have been for Everton. I can't remember.
How quick was it?
But I think it was like 10 seconds. Honestly, I think it was like 10 seconds. Because I was walking down the aisle. I wasn't even in my seat. I'd missed a bide with me and all that. There was a goal.
there was a goal, and I actually think it got goal of the season that year. Antonio Valencia scored for United, and I was still walking up the stairs.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Because there was a big queue in that. How quick was that goal? Let me just check. Like, it was a great goal as well. I'm sure it got goal of the season and I missed it. But it was like inside the first, we battered Everton 4-0, so I got to see more goals. But I remember Antonio Valencia volley pinged it in.
That pinger. What's the best one you've ever seen? Have you got like a goal that you were there for that you were just like, okay,
the one that I find myself referring to a lot is Paul's goals at Villa Park.
The volley?
Yeah. Like that is.
And were you in the ground? Were you there?
Yeah, I was in the ground. Funnily enough, before I did YouTube, I used to have a YouTube account called MUFC Ads, which was like just for commenting and stuff. But then you've seen like that Twitter thread I've done of.
Was it ADZ?
Like, yeah.
That's so cool, man. You're so cool.
I'm so cool. You've seen the Twitter thread of pictures that I've done, innit?
Yeah, it's
like,
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously at that time I also had videos, but it was like videos of me walking into the ground, so people just singing "Red Army" as you're walking in and stuff like that. And I used to upload them to YouTube. And one of the videos was because we were winning at Villa Park, we were singing and that. I recorded the singing as that volley goes in.
Oh, that's quality. So you got
but
the
obviously
celebration.
I've got it somewhere. But listen to this. So just before I actually started doing YouTube and Google merged, and then they kept sending me these emails like merge your account to save your YouTube account and all this, and I just deleted it. Do you get me? So I deleted this old YouTube account that I had of like videos like that. They were like 240p, very grainy. You weren't really seeing anything, but it was I deleted it, and then like probably like a year later I started actually doing YouTube.
It's a shame. That would have done well.
But I've got those videos on a hard drive somewhere.
Yeah, that'd be great to find, wouldn't it? One day you dig them out.
Yeah.
So it's Paul Scholes for you. Paul Scholes is the one. I'm
trying to think of another goal, but I can't remember.
I think for any Chelsea fan that was a lot of Chelsea fans. Well, there'll be 41,500 people, along with me, that just know the answer to this question, because everyone that was in the stadium that day, I don't care what games they've been at since or previously, anyone that was at Chelsea versus Barcelona. You know, Ronaldinho.
Oh, with the...
Yeah. I think everybody that was in the stadium, 41,000 people, will say that was the best goal they've ever seen.
Opposition goals I've seen... Weirdly enough, a Dean Ashton overhead kick stands out in my head.
You love the Grealish one. Do you remember the Grealish curler? You always talk about that.
That was a fantastic goal.
Yeah.
R9, I've seen him score at Old Trafford. Like, I've seen... Like that, but that Dean Ashton goal stands out to me. I don't know what it is. Benteke scored a great overhead kick when we beat Liverpool 3-2 as well.
Really? It's always funny, isn't it? You know when you've won the game, you know there where you went, he scored a great goal.
Daniel De Rossi as well. Sorry to cut you off there. We beat Roma 7-1, and Francesco Totti's whipped the ball in, and De Rossi's like hooked a volley, and that was a great goal as well. Sorry to cut you off. No, that's all you've done is actually prove my point. You're quite happy to flag United, and I've done it with Ronaldinho because Chelsea went through that day. You can always flag goals against you. Like, God, that Ronaldinho goal was great against Chelsea. You know, it didn't matter because we scored 4. Yeah.
And you can flag. I reckon if Chelsea had gone out, like, I'll never flag Iniesta's goal ever.
Yeah, it's like I think Darren Ambrose scored a great goal against us for Palace.
I'm looking at him right now. That's mental. I'm literally looking at. I can see him over there.
He's scored some great goals against us and knock us out the League Cup.
Mate, do you know what? He's still a really good footballer now. Well, listen to what I'm basing it on before I. There's in this office. You know those little chairs that are like a shell, like a hub. So you sit in it and you're quite low, but you're like totally circled. There's a lot of those chairs in this building. And obviously, if there's a football in the room and there's that chair, there's a game to be played, isn't there?
Yeah.
Darren Ambrose just does it from like the length of the office. No drama. Just pops it in there all the time.
He's only recently retired, right?
Yeah, fairly recently, I think. But the level that he can just pop it in is unbelievable. Like I've seen Andy Cole try and miss. You know what I mean? Darren Ambrose, no nonsense.
To be fair, I played a challenge with Andy Cole, and I think he just obviously he's obviously had recent illness issues as well. which you obviously have to mention. But I remember playing with Andy Cole, and it's like, I think some footballers, once you don't practice a lot, you just lose your eye, don't you?
Yeah.
Lose your eye quite
they
easy.
don't care. Like
Yeah.
Andy Cole don't really care whether I see him pop it in a chair or not. It's not going to affect anything, is it? I did a video the other day, right? I got a lot of hate, Adam. I got a lot of hate within the room. I mean, the people that I did the podcast with, because I put Andy Cole as the third best ever Premier League striker.
Bro, that's correct. I phoned. I remember. So I had to do a call with Talk Sports, and they had Andy Cole in the studio, and they did it. So I was like, before I start, let me just say, Andy, I love you, and you're one of the most underrated strikers in Premier League history. They need to put some respect on your name. I remember saying that, like, and I'm quite passionate about this. I was like, you should have played more for England, and you're the only English striker that has done it in the Premier League and Champions League. Like, you have done it. How many English strikers have done what you've done? Like, and I was just going in, and I think it was Sam Matterface went, well, he's I disagree with that. I think it's good. I was like, bruv, shut up. You don't know nothing, man. Like, just don't get involved in this conversation.
If he took penalties, he'd probably have the record, wouldn't he? He'd probably have the goals. If he took penalties, he would probably have. I think he only took one penalty, but scored it. But imagine if you added another.
It's Gennardo's fault that people don't rate him, you know.
Yeah, silly comment that sticks. Silly comment that sticks. Yeah. You get that though, don't you? It's like we get it with Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
Basically, one West Ham fan once said he was fat, and then it became a thing. Like, he's never been fat in his life.
I remember also, like, Frank Lampard went from being, like, just people used to say at times early on, like, oh, he's the best midfielder, like, constantly say it. And at times he was up there with the best. But, like, I remember he went from being a little bit overrated to everyone going, he's overrated. And now he became, you like need to put some attention on Frank Lampard's name, because now you're just now you're underrated. And like, it's just went the complete flip reverse.
Mate, that happened recently. Luka Modric went from the most underrated to the most overrated in about.
How did he win a Ballon d'Or?
Yeah, he went from the most basically people were saying that he was. Nobody was giving him any respect, which was obviously not right.
Yeah.
Then they went, oh shit, he's good, this guy. Get a Ballon d'Or. Hang on a minute. Whoa, what?
Isn't that what happened with Cannavaro a little bit as well?
Yeah, a little bit, I think.
Or did he deserve that? I don't think. Does a defender ever deserve it?
Captained Italy to the World Cup, didn't he?
But listen to me a sec. The reason I think a goalkeeper and a defender never deserves a Ballon d'Or is because if they were the best player in the world, they wouldn't be a goalkeeper or a defender.
Oh, it's the best at what you do, isn't it? Is he the best at what he does?
No, he's the best player in the world.
I kind of know what you mean, but it isn't only about tricks and whatever, is it? It can be about
not
defending
tricks
or
just relentlessly goal scoring as a. Yeah, all right, but I just feel like maybe a fullback could do it because they're bred differently these days. You know what I mean? But I just feel like if you're a centre back, particularly, or a goalkeeper, unless you're Stevie Bruce in it and you're scoring 10 plus goals a season, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I kind of know what you mean, because they don't. Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. Although generally speaking, it's won by attacking. I mean, I remember Buffon nearly won it, didn't he? The year that Cannavaro won it, there was all the talk that it was going to be Buffon, I think. That was the year that Henry got done, because it should have. Henry finished third that year, I think, and Cannavaro and Buffon above him.
So maybe that's a good thing, just to rattle Arsenal fans.
yeah. We've both gone. Yeah, keepers and defenders shouldn't really win it, but they both finished above Henry. Yeah, that's fine.
Who do you think's the best player to never have won it? So you got Maldini, Raul, Henry, Xavi.
I mean, do you know what? I think that there are certain players that probably would have deserved it. Look, do you know what's happened as well? Because it's just been dominated by two players since about 2008, something like that. It was dominated by the same players. Anyone that finished sort of second or third, because I suppose they were finishing first and second themselves, they got to feel hard done by. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Iniesta.
We're saying your Suarez could have won one. Neymar probably could have won one.
Iniesta and Xavi should have probably both had it at some point.
The one that sticks in my throat is Beckham.
Beckham should have had it. Was that the year he won the treble?
Yeah, he got overlooked for that. That was a disgrace.
Do you know who won it?
Rivaldo won it, I think, and we knocked him out of the Champions League.
Yeah, but do you know what? There was a year I think Frank Lampard finished second to Ronaldinho. Like, no shame in that. But Frank Lampard finished second one year, and I think Steven Gerrard finished third. Gerrard's another one that probably could have won. Do you know? I'll tell you who else probably should have had one. Dennis Bergkamp at some point in his career.
I disagree, man. If you can't jump on a flight, you don't deserve a Ballon d'Or.
Eric Cantona, would he have deserved one?
Who was you kind of were they? When did they start giving them out?
Oh, mate, it's been going. Stanley Matthews won it, mate. Everyone
used to be World Player of the Year as well, didn't it?
No, I think it's been going for. I know that Stanley Matthews.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Blackpool. Yeah, because George Best has got one. What am I talking about? Dennis Law and Charlton. I don't know. But who did you say then? Cantona.
I said
who was winning it in he would have won it when 96 maybe.
No,
it's just that in the Champions League.
Earlier,
Champions League, we never really.
Yeah, true. But what about
Champions
the
League
year where Cantona took the title from Leeds to Manchester? You've got to be in the conversation then, and over those years, haven't you?
I wonder who won it then.
What year? It might
92. It would have been around 93. You'd call it, wouldn't you?
It would have been someone at AC Milan. It would have been one of the AC Milan boys. That's when they were wicked. That's like Ruud Gullit and them boys, I think.
Yeah, so 93. Actually, Cantona was third. It was Roberto Baggio, Bergkamp, and Cantona.
Right. So that would have been what 90? What year would that?
93.
93. I'm surprised that wasn't AC Milan. That's like the AC Milan era, wasn't it?
Yeah, interesting that one. Juventus is Baggio. The year before Van Basten won it.
Ah, there we go. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
The Milan era was check this out: 1988 and 1989. So first, second, and third in '88 was Van Basten, Gullit, and Rijkaard, all of Milan.
No way.
And 1989, first, second, and third was Van Basten, Baresi, Rijkaard, all of Milan.
Mate. So
for 2 years straight, they had the best three players in the world play for their team.
Wow, that is amazing, isn't it?
And interestingly enough, obviously they were a lot better back in the early 90s and late 80s. Red Star Belgrade had...
Oh, that would be Savicevic.
Yeah, so they had Savicevic and Panchev. Joint second with Lothar Matthäus in 91.
Where was Matthäus? No, Inter.
Inter, yeah. And Jean-Pierre Papin won it.
Oh, for Marseille. That's the year they won the Champions League, isn't it? Jean-Pierre
Barthez in goal.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And Abidi Pele. They had a geezer called Abidi Pele who was brilliant.
Matthias Sammer was the one who stopped R9 from winning it. In
Sammer, you
96. Obviously, Ronaldo won it in 2002.
Matthias Sammer won it ahead of R9.
Yeah, in 96. Didn't Dortmund win the Champions League?
Yeah, they did.
Because they knocked us out, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah, they did. It was with... Do you remember they had the Scottish midfielder who managed Norwich?
Lambert.
Paul Lambert. He played in that game. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
Lambert.
Well played, mate. This has become a very nostalgic. Episode of this show. I hope that's going to be okay with everyone.
I mean, it's not. It's stayed on football, which I think is quite good.
What does it sometimes drift even beyond football? Do you just start talking about?
Usually we end up not talking about football.
Right. Okay, no. So progress. I've managed to at least keep it on track.
So your favourite player to never win a Ballon d'Or was
Frank Lampard.
David Beckham. Two Englishmen.
Yeah, do you know what? Funnily enough, when I'm working here, I'm surrounded by TVs. Right in this room. If you're listening, I'm just sitting in a room full of TVs. And the other day they had on like a season from Manchester United, and it was the game where you played at Tottenham. You know, I think it must have been the 5-3. There was a goal that Scholes has like prodded it out wide to Beckham, and he shot and he's curled it like the wrong way into the far post.
Away from the goal.
Away, yeah. It's like you're curling it the way as if you're crossing it, but he's obviously shot. And he's curled it, whipped it into the far post, done a mad celebration. Paul Scholes gone mad with him, like baffled, actually.
I think that was the Spurs game at Old Trafford for the treble, maybe.
Yeah, it was, because did they score first? Like I was just
Yeah,
watching
Les
it while the show
Ferdinand.
was on. And then Andy Cole's kind of lobbed the keeper, like hit it over. Yeah. It was that game. But mate, what was that to secure the treble?
So that was to secure the Premier League, and then.
But that was
we
the
secured
treble
the
season, yeah.
Yeah. So then we got the FA Cup 6 days later.
Hey,
Then...
you'll love this. Do you know what? I was out with my cousins and Arsenal fan. Because I'm from North London. A lot of my family are Arsenal. I went to the pub with my cousin, and I've no idea. Listen to how much it still irks them. Do you know what he said? He's talking about United treble because obviously they won a double, you won a treble, and he's gone like, "This is, gosh, mate, like you're married with a kid. You've got to have moved on from this." He's like, "No, mate, it still gets to me." I went, "Oh, go on." He said, "Look, if Bergkamp scores that penalty, we win the cup." I went, "All right, maybe." He went, and I tell you what, this is when I was like, "You're mad." He went, "We played Leeds United, and if Nelson Vivas didn't slip, we would have won the league, and Man United wouldn't have it." I was like, "Wow, Nelson Vivas is on your mind. Like it's 10:30. Like, what are you doing?" He's like, "We played Leeds United. Nelson Vivas slipped, and that's where it all went wrong." I was like, "Bro, you're gonna have to let this go."
And in a roundabout way, from the start of the show to the end of the show, we were talking about kind of people on Twitter at the start, weren't we? And when you see people bitching and moaning a lot and like taking slide digs at United, it's because of that.
Yeah.
It's because they're sat at home thinking about Nelson Vivas slipping and Man United
winning the
league and winning the treble. It's because they're thinking about something in their childhood that related to Man United. So, Rory, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. You can hear more from Rory himself on his YouTube channel. The link is in the description below. And you can also hear more from myself and Rory, Makola and Rory, on the Makola and Rory podcast. And maybe I'll get him on Uncensored again when Steve goes AWOL. So thank you very much for joining us,
mate,
Rory.
You got
anything else you want to plug that I haven't?
Mate, no, that's perfect. I appreciate you mentioning the YouTube channel and podcast and that. But no, I've had a really good time, Ad. It's been great fun. I'd love to do it again if there's ever room for me.